Come closer, my friends, and let the flickering lamplight cast long, dancing shadows upon the ancient vellum, for tonight we speak not of the comforting narratives we are taught, but of whispers from the deepest past, of truths too profound, too unsettling. He began to subtly integrate fragments of the forbidden knowledge into his transcriptions, rephrasing ancient hymns, adding veiled references to sky-dwellers and star-born architects. His eyes, once bright with scholarly fervor, became haunted, knowing he walked a perilous tightrope between revelation and annihilation. The haunting image of Arad, hunched over his clay tablets in the flickering lamplight, stylus etching the forbidden truths, even as the shadow of the vigilant temple guard fell across his workspace, remains a chilling testament to his quiet rebellion. His work, though revolutionary, was never truly completed. One dawn, he simply vanished, his personal tablets mysteriously missing, his official scrolls found subtly altered. The temple records stated he was struck down by a sudden illness, but whispers persisted of a forced disappearance, his subversive insights deemed too dangerous. The tablets he had discovered were subsequently reburied in a deeper, forgotten chamber, their words condemned to silence. Humanity continued to believe in its familiar creation myths, unaware that the true, startling narrative of its origins lay buried beneath the very dust of the ancient world. Guarded by the relentless hand of fearful authority, its secrets echoing in the silent, empty spaces where Arad once worked. To ever see the light of day, imagine, if you will, the grand library of human knowledge, a towering edifice built upon centuries of inquiry and discovery. Yet, what if, at its very foundations, lay a hidden vault, containing volumes so dangerous, so utterly revolutionary that their very existence was deemed a threat to the established order, a challenge to every sacred belief? For across millennia, there have been texts whispered about in hushed tones by scholars and renegades, texts whose words promise to unravel the very fabric of our understanding, revealing a Genesis far stranger, far more ancient than any myth or creed dared to imagine. These are the forbidden texts, guardians of humanity's true origins, suppressed for centuries, their secrets etched in the very dust of time. Our journey begins in the scorched sands of ancient Mesopotamia, a land cradled by two great rivers where civilization first took root. Here, amidst the sun-baked ziggurats and the bustling markets of Sumer, lived a scribe named Arad, a man of profound learning and unsettling curiosity. Arad was tasked with preserving the vast knowledge of his people, transcribing the epic tales of gods and heroes onto clay tablets. But in the deepest, most secure chamber of the temple library, he stumbled upon a collection unlike any other. These were not legends of creation from chaos, but meticulously detailed accounts, written in a script far older than Sumerian, describing a genesis not of divine decree, but of celestial visitors, beings of immense wisdom and power, who descended from the stars not as gods but as architects. Arad's inner conflict was a torment. His priestly duties demanded adherence to the established myths, but his intellect screamed with the raw, terrifying truth of these forbidden tablets. He knew the sacred texts of his people, the very foundation of their power, were but simplified parables, veils drawn over a far grander, far more humbling reality. Arad's tragic fate was sealed by his unwavering devotion to truth. As the millennia turned and empires rose and crumbled like sandcastles before an unforgiving tide, the shadow of these forbidden origins continued to linger, appearing in fragmented whispers across different cultures and eras. Our gaze now falls upon Sister Lyra. Her superiors, alerted by subtle changes in her behavior and a chilling detachment from her spiritual duties, initiated a quiet investigation. They found no overt heresy, but the raw, unsettling power of the Codex Ethelred was unmistakable, even in its encrypted form. The manuscripts were deemed demonic influences. Her personal research confiscated, and Lyra herself was consigned to perpetual, solitary confinement, her mind already consumed by the truths she could never speak, her spirit broken by the burden of forbidden knowledge. The Codex was sealed away, deep beneath the monastery, its truths condemned to further centuries of oblivion. Humanity continued to build its churches and cathedrals, oblivious that the scientific blueprints of its own making lay hidden beneath consecrated ground, their secrets deemed too dangerous for the collective soul. A silent testament to a knowledge too profound, too unsettling, to ever be fully revealed. A brilliant but reclusive nun in a secluded monastic scriptorium during the 13th century, a time when the light of theological dogma burned brighter than any star. Lyra, dedicated to transcribing biblical texts and ancient philosophical treatises, possessed a mind uniquely attuned to patterns and anomalies. She discovered within the vast, sprawling archives of the monastery a series of fragmented manuscripts, bound in ancient leather, written in a language no longer spoken, adorned with peculiar diagrams that seemed to depict not heavenly angels, but intricate celestial mechanics and strange, almost biological schematics. Her inner conflict was a harrowing crucible. Her profound faith mandated an unwavering belief in divine creation. Yet the undeniable logic and horrifying implications of these texts gnawed at her soul, presenting an alternative Genesis that shattered every sacred tenet. These texts, later known as the Codex Ethelred, spoke of humanity's genesis not as a singular act of divine will, but as a deliberate, prolonged genetic experiment, guided by beings far advanced, whose vast cosmic project encompassed countless worlds. The diagrams detailed genetic sequences, cellular structures, and even the deliberate manipulation of early human forms, all pointing to an orchestrated development rather than spontaneous creation. Lyra, consumed by a desperate need to understand, spent years secretly deciphering their fragmented wisdom, her hands trembling as she transcribed the heretical truths onto fresh parchment, her spirit torn between piety and profound intellectual terror, her heart, once filled with unwavering devotion, pulsed with a terrifying realization. Her God was perhaps not the sole architect, but merely a part of a grander, more terrifying cosmic design. The haunting image of Sister Lyra, her face pale in the light of a single tallow candle, furiously copying the forbidden diagrams, her eyes wide with a mixture of revelation and despair. As the distant bells of matins told, a constant reminder of the orthodoxy she was unknowingly betraying, remains etched in the memory of those few who ever stumbled upon whispers of her work. Her tragic fate was swift and silent. As the Enlightenment dawned, promising an age of reason and liberated thought, the hope for these forbidden truths to finally emerge might have seemed assured. Yet the forces of suppression merely adapted. His papers were rejected by prestigious journals, his lectures boycotted, his reputation systematically dismantled by powerful academic rivals. The haunting image of Thorn, an old man, his eyes hollowed by years of frustration, sitting alone amidst his meticulously catalogued but utterly ignored fossils, his desperate pleas for further investigation falling on deaf ears, remains a chilling testament to the insidious power of peer suppression. He died a forgotten figure, his groundbreaking discoveries dismissed as a hoax or an eccentricity. His collected evidence, his meticulous journals, were quietly acquired by a secretive foundation, their contents locked away in temperature-controlled vaults, deemed unfit for public consumption, until humanity was ready. And so, the forbidden texts of our origins, from ancient Sumerian tablets to medieval codices, and finally to modern fossil records, remain hidden, their truths awaiting a more open, perhaps more courageous era. The question lingers, a cold whisper in the silent archives of our world. What true narrative of our beginnings awaits discovery? Only we dare to look beyond the stories we have been taught. And what cost might we still pay, should those forbidden truths finally be brought into the blinding light? Shifting from the divine wrath of the church to the cold, calculating power of burgeoning scientific academies, national institutions, and the very concept of accepted truth. Our final tale leads us to Professor Julian Thorne, a brilliant but ostracized paleontologist of the late 19th century, whose unorthodox theories regarding human evolution were dismissed as radical, even insane. Thorne, a man of uncompromising integrity and passionate conviction, found himself increasingly at odds with the emerging scientific consensus, which, while embracing evolution, rigidly defined its pace and mechanism. His inner conflict was a constant struggle between presenting empirical evidence and the crushing weight of professional ridicule and institutional dismissal. Thorne stumbled upon a series of fossilized remains in a remote, unexplored cave system in the Caucasus Mountains. These were not primitive hominids or Neanderthals, but anatomically modern human skeletons, dated to an astonishingly ancient epoch, tens of thousands, perhaps even hundreds of thousands of years before current theories allowed for their existence. Furthermore, among the bones, he found peculiar artifacts, intricately carved tools of advanced design, and tiny, non-earthly metallic objects, hinting at an intelligence and technology far beyond what was thought possible for that era. These discoveries, meticulously documented in his private journals, defied every established timeline, every accepted model of human ascent. They suggested not a gradual linear evolution from ape, but a sudden, almost inexplicable appearance of modern humans, perhaps implying an intervention or a forgotten, highly advanced precursor civilization that had vanished without a trace. The scientific establishment, having just fought bitter battles to establish Darwinian evolution, viewed Thorne's findings not as new frontiers, but as dangerous anomalies that threatened to destabilize their hard-won intellectual victories. They feared the chaos such revelations would bring, the opening of doors to spiritualism and pseudoscientific speculation they had worked so hard to close. Julian Thorne's tragic fate was a slow, agonizing intellectual death.